guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the hype train. Hop aboard. It's nice and comfy and also very moist. So if you somehow missed it the other day, we got the massive end of the year high level infinite update, which had a lot of information in it. And the other day I released a video of me reading through the update for the first time and kind of breaking it down as I went through it. But today I want to do a really in-depth review of this update, look at all the pictures and all the information released, and break it down into the finest of details. We're going to cover literally everything that there is to cover in this video in the maximum detail possible. So let's waste no time and begin. However, one thing to keep in mind before we do start, and it's something very cool, right, is that according to Patrick Wren of 343, so this is an official 343 employee saying this, every single picture they released in that blog post is actually an in-game picture, not just in-engine, in-game, which means that this is how the game will look. Of course, because the game isn't quite complete yet, everything is still subject to be improved or changed in some capacity, but bear in mind that everything you're about to see is actual in-game footage, which is mad to me. So first, let's take a look at the sniper rifle and break it down bit by bit. So, the Infinite Sniper Rifle is actually a new iteration of the sniper rifle of the SRS-99 series of sniper rifles. It is called the SRS-99-S7. For reference, Halo 5 sniper rifle was the SRS-99-S5, so this is 2 iterations higher than Halo 5's version. Now, interestingly, the sniper itself is actually almost identical in its design to the Halo 5 sniper. Like, really, besides the scope and the muzzle brake, the design of the gun is pretty much identical. However, it doesn't look identical. As you can see, the colour is very different, and really, the different colour palette in the Infinite Sniper Rifle goes to show how much of a difference changing the colour palette of a gun can make to its overall design and look. As you can see here, Halo 5 Sniper Rifle just sports this really boring, monochromatic and kind of detailless grey colour, whereas the Infinite design sports a far more classic black, olive drab and orange colour palette that all contrast really nicely against each other, and honestly, this new colour palette makes a world of difference. And then there's also the difference in detail as well. Now, comparing the Halo 5 Sniper Rifle to the Halo Infinite Sniper Rifle might be the most next-generation upgrade I've ever seen from any game on any platform. I mean, look at the two of them. Halo 5 versus Halo Infinite. The difference in quality and detail is absolutely unreal. The differences in lighting and the scuffs and scratches and the extra accents and detailing on the Infinite Sniper Rifle are nothing short of incredible. I'm a big fan of the orange rings on the barrel and also on the scope, and the actual model stamp as well that's besides the heat shield. All the weapons now seem to have the actual model stamps and serial numbers printed on them, which obviously is a tiny detail, but it goes a long way to make the weapons feel more grounded. And also some other small details that I'm a really big fan of. I really like the redesigned rail and also the addition of a selector switch above the trigger frame. 2 very small, minute additions, but very appreciated ones. And the craziest thing to me is that despite the overall massive addition in details to the weapon, it doesn't look cluttered or over-designed like a lot of 343 designs have looked in the past. It just looks simple, but I've gotta say, my favourite aspect of this new sniper rifle is the scope. The scope is awesome. It's literally like a modernised, high-fidelity version of the Reach sniper scope. I love those red optical zoom arrows, like those things, they're just arrows to change the zoom, but it looks so menacing, and they work really well with the black front of the scope, the olive drab back, and the orange accents. It's a really cool colour contrast they've got going on. Big fan of that side-mounted rail as well. You know, it's the little things like a side-mounted rail and a selector switch that really go that extra mile and make the weapon feel more grounded and kind of realistic. Something I'm really hoping is that because the sniper now uses the Reach scope as opposed to the Halo 4 and Halo 5 scope, the view model of it is going to be a lot sleeker and kind of flatter. Halo 4 and Halo 5 sniper was way too tall and it took up way too much of the screen, and most of that was because of the scope. The scope was the biggest issue with that design, so now that it's got the Reach scope, I have high hopes that it won't look like a CRT TV anymore. I'd also love it if they bring back the old green scope, or the kind of green screen on the scope that you can see. I'd love it if they bring that back. Overall though, I'm a massive fan of this design. However, I will say, like I said in my other video the other day, I'm gonna wait to cast full judgment until we see the view model, because the view model is equally as important for a weapon's overall design as its design, in my opinion. A weapon can look fantastic and have a really bad view model. We'll have to wait and see what the view model looks like, but right now I'm a big fan of this design. It just goes to show how much of a difference just a simple colour palette change makes to a weapon. Next up, we have the ever iconic M41 SPNKr rocket launcher. Again, the SPNKr seems to have undergone a fairly similar colour palette change to the sniper. The black and silver body create this fantastic contrast, and the really cool orange detailing and accents only further add to that contrast. It really makes the weapon pop and stand out as opposed to the Halo 5 one, which again just kind of looks flat to me. It's also a very similar colour palette to a lot of Bungie's weapons as well, which is why those weapons stood out. They've really just brought that kind of black and grey colour palette into the modern day, given it a fresh coat of paint, and slapped it on the weapons, and boy does it look good. Although one thing, they have actually kind of changed the silhouette of the SPNKr a little bit. If you compare it to the Bungie SPNKr or even the 343 SPNKr, it appears to be a lot more sleek and almost aerodynamic. Most of it is the trigger frame area, which appears to be, again, a lot sleeker and kind of flatter. It doesn't come down as much as the old SPNKr designs. I'm a big fan of that sort of cushion at the back that you'd rest on your shoulder. That makes practical sense in the use case of the weapon, to have a cushion where you're going to fire the weapon, because firing a rocket launcher like that is going to have a lot of kick. You're gonna want something to soften the blow. And again, like the sniper, I just love all the extra details that they've added to the weapon. I mean, there's the serial number beneath the rocket storage area. You can literally see which number of SPNKr this is in the production line, which is crazy. There's engravings on the rocket tube again, and then there's all the little bolts and orange accents that are scattered across the weapon. And again, as well, just like the sniper, they've added so many more details to the weapon, whilst ensuring that it doesn't look cluttered and over-detailed like a lot of 343 designs have in the past. Fantastic design work, honestly, I'm so happy. Very much looking forward to seeing the view model for this bad boy. However, before we look at the Spartan armors in detail, I first want to take a look at the scene in the background of these pictures. So as you can see here, when I'm flicking between the rocket and the sniper, you can see that elements in the background of this environment, this scene, are changing, right? The Spartan is visibly moving a little bit, that warthog in the back moves around, and the holographic matter that comes off that holo table, as well as the holographic UI elements, are changing and rendering in differently. And I have a feeling that this means that this kind of area, this location, this big warehouse type thing, could be either a customization area where you go to apply coatings to weapons and armor and vehicles and the like, or maybe even a social space of some kind. Although my money is definitely on the former. Given the armor customization, which we're now going to move on to, you'll probably see why. Again though, before we actually look at the armor in detail, if you see here when I'm flicking between all the pictures of the armor, again, you can see things in the background of the scene moving, the lighting kind of changes, different effects appear on the crates and the terminals in the background. This appears to be a living environment, an animated environment, with some sort of important connection to customization. I really think that this entire area is the customization warehouse, an immersive kind of customization menu area that is dedicated to purely customization, that's, I don't know, set on the infinity or something, where you customize weapons, and as you can see here in the picture of the Spartan, that weapon holo table is literally in the background. And also vehicles, because obviously there's warthogs scattered about, Spartans, and fingers crossed, elites too. I mean, you can see those circular pads on the floor. Maybe this area also acts as a lobby as well, where those pads are where your friend's Spartans stand. And these poses that the Spartans are standing in, they to me look a lot like stances, and I really hope they are, because they look damn cool. Ultimately, I really do think that this area is a combined lobby and also customization area and menu and hub, because 343 have made a point in the past of saying that, after Halo 5, they really want to return to having a menu that allows you to show off your Spartan that you've customized yourself, and with Infinite's deep customization, this seems like a great way to do it. Honestly, this system seems even better than Reach's active roster, if you ask me. If this is what the lobbies and customization menus look like, then I am all in. partying it with your friends and having all of their Spartans like stood here on these pads, all doing their separate stances, wearing all their own unique armor sets would look so damn cool. It would honestly kind of a bit look like Fortnite and Modern Warfare, how they do that, how they have all the characters in the background of the lobby when you're in a lobby with friends. I can imagine them doing something quite similar to that, and if this is the layout of that lobby menu, then count me in. Right, okay, so with all that out of the way, let's move on to looking at the armor in detail. Now, one thing that I want you to keep in mind when we're looking at all of these sets of armor is that every single customization option that was available in Halo Reach, so helmet, helmet attachments, left shoulder, right shoulder, chest, wrist, utility, knee guards, and visor color will be returning in Halo Infinite, in addition to more customization options as well. Sadly, there was no mention, at least explicitly, of armor effects. I really hope they do return. But just keep in mind that literally every single customization option that was available in Reach, as well as new ones that we'll look at in a minute, are going to be in Halo Infinite. So here we have the first set of armor, Mk.VII with the Watchdog armor coating, which is applied to both the Spartan and also this assault rifle and this battle rifle. This armor coating is unlocked by hitting level 152 in Halo 5. Now the coating and armor combo here with Mk.VII just looks incredible. I am in love with Mk.VII, honestly. This armor looks so Halo. Honestly, that is the best adjective that I can think of. It just looks so Halo, but so new at the same time. A little detail that I'm really happy they brought back is those little things that stick up on the shoulders. I honestly have no idea what they actually are, but they were always present in Bungie's designs for like Mark 6 and other designs as well, but 343 never really had them. It's great to see them make a return because they played quite a big part in the kind of overall silhouette of the Spartan. Thankfully, comparing these two pictures dispels one of our biggest worries about armor coatings. Thank God, visor colours are not a part of armor coatings. We're going to be able to customize visor colours like we always could. And by the way, these visors look absolutely incredible. I'm so happy they got rid of those hexagons and they made them shiny again. I mean, look at that. The gold visor with the white Mk.VII. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I have a feeling that Mk.VII, much like Mark 6 in Halo 3 and Mk.V in Halo Reach, is going to be the sort of starting default armor for your Spartan in Halo Infinite. And boy, what a default armor that is. I am so happy with Mk.VII, dude. Wow. Moving on, we have yet another Spartan wearing the Watchdog armor coating with it also on his BR. However, he's wearing an unknown and currently unnamed set of armor. This set of armor is almost entirely different to Mk.VII. There are different knee pads, different shoulders, different helmet. I love the fact that we have one small shoulder and then one really big shoulder. That gives me extreme Reach vibes. I love Spartans that have that like level of asymmetry, like what Emil had, like what Carter had, like what Jorge had. I really like that. It gives them like a really unique silhouette and it helps break them up from the typical symmetry that you get with super soldiers nowadays. I really like that degree of asymmetry that we can return to now, and boy, does the armor look good. The helmet looks kind of familiar to me. A little bit Air Assault-y kind of Air Assault-like. It's definitely not Air Assault, it looks pretty different, but it looks kind of inspired by Air Assault, but regardless, I'm very game for it. The white and black armor of the Watchdog armor coating, combined with that red visor, just looks beautiful, dude. It looks gorgeous. It's just such a shame that all of this is tied to armor coatings, because like the armor coatings themselves look really damn good. It's the systems behind them that are the issue, but my god, this colour combination, the contrast that is created with these colours is impeccable. It's beautiful. It's downright beautiful. The Watchdog BR just looks fantastic as well. I'm so happy that we're moving away from the gimmicky, stupid skins of Halo 5. Like, honestly, the only Halo 5 skins that I really liked were those ones, were they called Neon or something, that Vito designed? They were sick, all the other ones not so much, but these Infinite skins so far just look beautiful. They don't destroy the colour palette of the gun still looks like pretty grounded. It just adds nice accents and detailing to it, as you can see here, the red and silver trim on the black BR75, and it just looks beautiful. I'm such a big fan. Moving on, we have the Scorpion Punch armor coating on a set of armor that looks to be a Gen 3 version of Anubis from Halo 5, which I actually really liked. That was one of the few Gen 2 helmets that I do like, so it's good to see Anubis making a return. Like many have already pointed out, this armor coating absolutely has to be referencing the N7 armor from Mass Effect. It's far too similar to not be referencing it, and honestly, it looks sick. Something else worth noting here is that the visor appears to have some kind of detailing on it. It sort of looks like how Chief's visor looked in Halo 4 and Halo 5, so whether visors are going to have extra detailing options, I don't know, but that sounds pretty damn cool to me. The actual visor colour as well just looks so clean with that armor coating. It looks like such good contrast. The chest armor reminds me kind of Halo 3 EOD, but with loads of pouches and mags on it, and I've gotta say, the more pouches and webbing on Spartan armor, the better. I love seeing mag pouches on Spartans. This is the just perfect aesthetic that I love from Halo. On his hip, it looks like this Spartan has like a binocular or something, so maybe the utilities in this game are gonna be like far more varied and practical than they were in Reach. Like in Reach, all we really had was a medical kit, a bit of armor, and a bag. If we could get things like binocs as utilities and like knife holsters and radios and stuff, it'd be so cool. It would, again, really help ground the Spartan design, as if they don't need grounding anymore, but it would really help add that sort of like grounded, semi-realistic look to the Spartans. Honestly, seeing this binoc utility has made me irrationally excited for utilities now. I never thought I'd see the day, but I'm looking forward to seeing what else they have in store for us. Something else that I noticed is that the undersuit appears to have a different texture applied to it on this Spartan compared to the last two. It kind of a bit looks like chainmail. It's like a bunch of little circles, like dots on the undersuit, which looks pretty cool. I assume that this is part of the armor coating because they said that obviously coatings have patterns baked into them, so maybe that applies to the undersuit as well. But this clearly implies that undersuits can look different in the game. We also have a shot of the assault rifle, and my god does it look better than it did in July. It looks so much more detailed and just higher quality overall. I really like that yellow stripe, like the one that Reach had at the front of the gun. I'm a big fan of that. And also, this assault rifle appears to have some like gold trimmings on it. Like, you can see that the barrel, the charging handle, and also the magazine at the back are like gold trimmed, kind of gilded. So maybe this is an armor coating, or maybe this is just what the gun looks like. Maybe these are the accents that they've applied to the assault rifle, like what they've added to the sniper and the rocket launcher. I'd be down for it. Moving on, we have the Splinter Desert camo, which is applied to a currently unknown set of armor. And before we cover like any of the details of this armor, I've first just got to fawn over the fact that we are finally getting some actual militaristic style camos in Halo. I love seeing stuff like that. Again, it really works to ground the designs, even though these are like 500 years in the future super soldiers. It grounds them and makes them seem semi-realistic, which is great. It's the aesthetic that Bungie were always kind of going for, and it is great to see 343 pivoting back to that aesthetic. And like coatings like this with camouflages on them like this that honestly you would see on a modern day soldier, it's so good to see. Now that helmet is very interesting. That helmet to me, especially the visor as well, looks very Reclaimer era. Definitely the most Reclaimer era looking helmet that we've seen so far. It's not my favourite, but I honestly still think it looks pretty damn cool. The visor has that like kind of dot pattern on it that slightly resembles the hexagons that a lot of the Reclaimer saga visors had. In fact, like the actual detailing as well as the dots looks almost identical to Chief's visor in Halo 4, so again, that lends more credence to the theory that there's going to be some form of visor customization beyond just colour. Again though, the rest of the armour just looks gorgeous, dude. It's so Reach looking, like the chest plate with extra bits of armour and utilities bolted onto it with loads of sharp edges. Just, it looks so Reach and so militaristic and so much better than Halo 4 and Halo 5's armours that were very rounded on the edges as opposed to sharp. This return to kind of a more brutalist armour design is very welcomed. And speaking of Reach style, that utility is absolutely nutworthy. I loved the Assault Breacher wrist attachment in Halo Reach that had the shotgun shells on it, and this looks to be like an expanded utility version of that wrist attachment. You can see on the side there's a bunch of shotgun shells, and then there's like some grenades on the back that look kind of like smoke grenades or flashbangs maybe. I'm pretty sure at some point, actually, we did see flashbangs or smoke grenades or something in a Mega Bloks figure, so maybe they're adding them to the game for the first time, or maybe they're just smoke grenades. And then, of course, there's the pouch as well. Like I said earlier, pouches, the more pouches, the better. I'm a big fan of pouches on Spartans. And then we have the gun as well, which is very interesting. Now, I honestly can't tell if this gun is the Bulldog or a new version of the SMG with a drum mag. I'm leaning right now more towards the Bulldog because, as you can see, the rail, just like on the Bulldog in-game, stops when the handguard starts. So possibly it's the Bulldog, but it is kind of hard to tell from this angle. And our final armor to cover today is the Noble Defender Gen 3 Grenadier, or at least I assume it's Grenadier. Jorge is back, baby, and the Grenadier armor just looks, impeccable. It looks so good. The helmet is a 1-to-1 recreation of Reach Grenadier. The chest just screams Reach once again. Actually, speaking of that, the chest kind of reminds me of the new EXO TSCS chest piece that they're adding to MCC in some point in the future. It's coming with GRD. Kind of reminds me of that, but even if it's not that chest piece, it just looks so Reach, dude. I'm such a big fan. And then also the EVA and Grenadier shoulders are also just 1-to-1 with their Reach counterparts, as is the wrist bracer and also the kneecaps. Just seeing this asymmetry again and this kind of bulky, more practical, pragmatic design as opposed to hyper sleek like fighter jet designs like we had in Halo 4 and Halo 5 with Gen 2 is so refreshing. This screams, just like all the other armors, screams Halo to me. It really does. It just feels like a very natural continuation of Bungie's aesthetic that they carried forward from Halo 1 all the way into Reach. It just feels like the perfect continuation of that. Something very interesting, however, is that it appears that this Spartan has different crotch armor to the others. So, does that confirm customizable crotch armor in Halo Infinite? I am here for it. That would be honestly so cool to have. And then furthermore, it also has different handguards, different greaves, and also different sabatons as well. So, handguard, greave, and sabaton customization as well. It would make sense because they said they're doing more customization than Reach, so it would make sense. Honestly, dude, comparing this version of Grenadier to Jorge's armor in Halo 5 or even in Reach, honestly, just look at it, man. It is leaps and bounds better than both of those versions. The quality, the graphical fidelity is absolutely mind-boggling. And then you have like the grime and the dirt and the wear and tear on the armor to ground it, and it just looks incredible. Honestly, overall, the armors in Halo Infinite so far, both the returning armors and also the entirely new armors, just look like the most natural continuation of Bungie's aesthetic that they established from Halo CE through to Reach. It just looks like this was meant to be in Reach or Halo 3. Like, I guarantee, right, you could take these armors and just cut them out of Infinite and plop them in Halo 3 or in Halo Reach, and they would not look in the slightest bit out of place. They would fit so well in those games' aesthetics. I could not be happier with how these armors look. I am honestly lost for words. Just everyone at 343 who worked on these armors and the ones that we've not seen yet, just bravo. You guys absolutely nailed it. They're hyper detailed, but they aren't cluttered and over-designed like Halo 5's and Halo 4's were. The graphical fidelity, the graphical jump from Halo 5 to Infinite, specifically in terms of armors, is legitimately the biggest that I've ever seen for any franchise on any platform. This looks next gen to me. This is what I imagine when I hear the word next gen. I would honestly even say that this is as much of a graphical jump as the jump from Halo 2 to Halo 3. It really is that insane. I'm very excited to see what other armor customization options are being added to Infinite that they haven't told us about yet. Like, they teased more visor customization, so maybe visor patterns or visor detailing, like Halo 3's visors compared to Halo 4 and Halo 5's, or maybe, fingers crossed, we can get Haunted back, and more things like Haunted, like other things to put inside the helmet beyond the visor, or like hell, maybe even go a step further and let us have like shattered visors and stuff. That would be so cool. I really hope that armor effects make a return as well as playable elites as well with this level of customization. That would be honestly just mind-boggling. And also, actually, on the topic of Playable Elites, let me just briefly address the tease for Playable Elites that we saw yesterday in the blog post. So I saw quite a lot of people being confused about that. So here, Ryan specifically says Spartan customizations and armors. He very specifically states Spartans, which to me kind of insinuates that there's more that we can play as and customize beyond Spartans. I hope I'm right, fingers crossed I am, but I just figured I'd quickly mention that. Another really, really cool thing that's in this blog post about armor that I actually missed the other day is that the live team want to make sure that Halo Infinite players will be able to get their old favorites in terms of armor, as well as find new favorites at launch and as we expand over the months post-launch. Much like MCC, I want to bring everything to Infinite eventually. Having literally every Halo armor from Halo 1 all the way through to Halo 5 in Infinite would be, again, mind-boggling. If they could do that, that would be insane. They also said as well that they don't want the game to be a grind fest, so it's going to be interesting to see how this philosophy affects customization and progression and unlocks. They confirmed also that there's going to be customization unlocks from campaign, from challenges, from skill, from special events, legacy rewards like 152, progression, and more, which all sounds very, very good. So, let's move on now to talk about the 2 shots that we got of the first Halo Infinite multiplayer map. Now, before we even look at the map, right, I just want to say how good these Spartans look in an actual in-game environment, not just in the menu. Grenadier here just looks so Halo, dude. It's the best adjective, honestly. And if you look at the Scorpion Punch Spartan as well, he looks pretty small in this environment. So the map actually seems quite big. The scale of the map seems pretty large, which is kind of crazy. So, the map itself. Firstly, let's look at the setting. So, the map appears to be set in a Axis hydroelectric power plant. There's a whirlpool dam in this room beyond the bridge, and also a massive electric generator thing that is obviously where the water is generating electricity. It appears as if this kind of generator electric coil thing can maybe kind of rotate, it looks quite spherical, and move those pillars that are sticking out of the ground above it, in a way kind of like that map Talk in Halo 5 with the cylinders that come out the floor. I can imagine that being like a dynamic map element. Bottom mid, there appears to be a camo spawn, which to me looks kind of similar to that Halo 5 like camo unit that you used to get, where instead of walking over the power-up, you used to pick that thing up and like slam it into your chest. I wasn't the biggest fan of that. I preferred walking over power-ups to pick them up, so it'll be interesting to see if they return, but that to me looks like that little unit. And then also beyond the bridge, in the Whirlpool Dam room, you can see that there's a grapple shot equipment pickup. And then, on the balcony in the back, there appears to be an assault rifle on a weapon pad, which confirms the return of weapon pads, which, again, I'm not the biggest fan of. I really do hope that we don't have some guy commentating over our multiplayer games again like in Halo 5. I didn't like that where it was like, sniper in 10 seconds, like, it was gimmicky. Like, players should be able to figure that out for themselves. It shouldn't be like a forced feature on everybody. At least have it there as a toggle, very least. Something that I am happy about with this map is the distinct lack of, like, extreme verticality. I was really worried that with the grapple shot, they were going to have to, like, forcibly design all the maps to be, like, super, super vertical to accommodate for the grapple shot, even though it was equipment, but by the looks of it, they don't really have to. However, I will say that there appear to be a lot of, like, jumps and walls that are just a little bit too high to crouch jump or to jump normally, to encourage you to clamber. And that's one of the main issues that I have with clamber, in that it causes maps to be more vertical to force it to be useful. And by the looks of it, just based on this picture, obviously we don't know for sure yet, but based on this picture, it looks like that is the case in Halo Infinite as well, at least for this map. I do think overall this map looks really damn good. However, the more that I look at it, the more it just starts to look like a high-fidelity version of, like, Fathom or Riptide or Talk from Halo 5. I really hope that we get more maps that are, like, set outside in open environments this time, because we didn't get many of like that in Halo 5. And also, for the love of God, can we please get more than just 4v4 maps this time? Like, I want 4v4 arena maps, high ground and isolation style, like bigger semi-vehicle based 4v4 maps that also work in like 6v6 and stuff, and then also big team battle maps and more. I really want more variation in both location and environment, and also size this time around. because Halo 5 didn't really have much of that. And also, please, no more remixers. Please stop remixing maps, please. Didn't work very well in Halo 5, and I don't want to see it return. Okay, so let's move on to look now at the campaign concept art that was done by Martin Deschambault. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name, dude. So the first thing that I want to look at is this structure and the bridge that connects to it in the background. And this structure is one of three things to me, or at least it looks like one of three things. Number one, the bridge and structure, ironically, where the elites and prophets signed the Writ of Union and formed the Covenant in the Halo 2 Anniversary terminals. It also looks like this concept art, this structure in this concept art, which is from Ensemble Studios' cancelled Halo MMO called Titan. The overall structure looks kind of similar to that. However, I'm pretty sure it's something that you guys pointed out in the comments of my last video, and that is the gondola that the Arbiter rides to get to the sacred icon in the quarantine zone in Halo 2. It looks very similar to that entire gondola and also the bridge that connects to it. It also happens to be on the edge of a cliff face, which is obviously where you would need a gondola to travel over. I have a feeling that is a gondola. Next, we have that Forerunner hovering spire thing. Strange thing. Honestly, I have no idea what this is. It could just be like a monument or an artifact or something, or kind of gives me mining tool vibes in a way. It looks like a Forerunner mining tool that's like spewing like the blue energy out of it to dig through those hexagonal pillars. Don't know why it would be doing that to its own environment, to its own installation, but it kind of looks like that. Beyond those two things, though, there isn't really that much to cover in this concept art, so I just want to briefly just reread Joe Staten's words that are in relation to this concept art that he said after he'd played the campaign twice. Do I explore off the Golden Path? Assault that banished warbase guarding the Valley Pass? Follow a flight of Forerunner sentinels into that unexpected cavern? Rescue a squad of Marines, dug in and desperate, halfway up that mountain? Or do I keep pulling the mainline story thread that feels epic and intimate at the exact same time? That, to me, gets me so excited about the game, the possibilities of exploration and, like, free roaming, and also just the fact that, of all the people saying those things, it's Joseph Staten. That really does it for me. So, two more things to cover and then we're done, right? Number one, I have a feeling that this article is the beginning of the end of the content drought. Why do I think that? The title is Inside Infinite, December 2020. Specifically using the addendum of December 2020 insinuates to me that they're going to be doing them kind of monthly in the way that they do those MCC end-of-month blog posts. It feels like the same type of styling to me. And then, at the end, Joe also said, starting with this update, we're going to be sharing more about what we're doing and, most importantly, why we're doing it, which just adds even more credence to the fact that we're going to get stuff like this on a semi-regular basis. I reckon we'll get one of these maybe every month or every other month leading up to E3, where, again, we'll get like a massive info dump and then they'll confirm flighting and launch flighting later next year, because Joe did say that flighting was coming later next year, which kind of lines up with them doing it after E3. I could see them launching it either during the E3 show or like a day or two after. It is a bit late for flighting if the game's coming out in the fall next year, but we'll have to wait and see. They've had another year on this game, so hopefully all the polish that they needed to do will have been done. And speaking of release dates, Bonnie Ross tweeted this yesterday, which, to me, basically confirms that Infinite is going to be launching on Halo Combat Evolved's 20th anniversary, which is November 15th, 2021. I mean, what better way is there to launch a game that was based almost entirely upon an early version of Halo Combat Evolved? Launching it on Halo CE's 20th anniversary and also the 20th anniversary of the franchise as a whole would be a really good thing to do in my opinion. And so that is everything. This is a very long video, I'm going to say that again, so I'm going to round it up very, very shortly. Basically, I am extremely happy with literally everything besides the systems behind armor coatings. I still really don't like them, but the armor coatings themselves look incredible. The Spartans, the weapons, the campaign, it all just looks and sounds incredible. I'm very, very excited to get some more information. And with that said, let's bring this video to a close. I want to give a massive thank you to all of my amazing patrons for the continued support over there as per usual. And thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Leave all those thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you all in the next one.